Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, the Ravens were able to get an ugly win last night against their divisional rivals, the Cleveland Browns. It was not a pretty game. It was not a pretty game at all. In a game where Lamar Jackson throws 4 interceptions, the offense looks terrible and they put up 16 points. They somehow are able to beat their divisional rivals thanks to a dominating performance by this defense. That was one of the best defensive performances by this team this season. Absolutely spectacular job. It wasn't pretty, but it was Ravens football. And sometimes Ravens football isn't the prettiest, it isn't the best, it isn't the funnest, but at the end of the day, they do what they got to do to win the game, and that's just what the Ravens season has been about so far, and it continues to be that way for them because they continue to find ways to win games. I gotta say, despite everything that has happened to this team, all the injuries, all the problems, the issues we have with this offense, the lack of execution, the inconsistency with the play calling, Lamar not playing his best football, just something being poor with the offense. Despite the struggles the Ravens defense had early on in this season because they were struggling to tackle, despite all of these problems and the issues they still have to deal with moving forward, right now, after 12 weeks of football, the Ravens have an 8-3 record. They currently sit in first place in the AFC North, and they currently have the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's impressive. That's something you can be proud of. You know, as a Ravens fan, that is something you can actually be proud of. This team has a lot of problems, yes, but their resiliency has shown up the entire season. And the fact that today they sit on top of the AFC shows just how resilient this team is as a whole. This team could have fallen into the abyss. They really could have fallen into the abyss. The minute these injuries started happening to their major guys, they could have just fell off and this would have been a lost season. Teams just dealing with injuries. It's one of those years they can't make it. But somehow this team has been able to survive every possible situation you can give them. They've been in a situation where they're down double digits in the fourth quarter. They've been in a situation where they're down pretty much the entire game. They've been in a situation where they're down by 3 possessions. They've been in every single close game you could possibly deal with. They've been in it, man. They've been in it. Pretty much all of their games have been like 1 possession games because they've had to grind and fight every single week, and it's always come down to the wire. We have yet to really have that type of game consistently where we can sit back and say, oh, that was a dominating performance. The only time that has happened this season was against the Chargers. Every other game has been a grind. We've been in multiple overtime games this season, and we found ways to pull it off. It's just been crazy. Multiple double-digit comebacks, multiple overtime games. It's been that type of season for the Ravens. Yet, despite all the problems they have, they've won those games. They're first in their division. They're first in the conference. Gotta give them their credit, man. Gotta give them their credit. They deserve a round of applause for that. Obviously, they gotta continue to keep this up, and they gotta go out there and finish this off by hopefully winning this division, clinching themselves a playoff spot. Who knows? Maybe they take the number 1 seed in the AFC, though, depending on the rest of the schedule, depending on, how things go with the Steelers twice, Cleveland again, Cincinnati, the Packers, and the Rams. Depending on how those games go, they could end up with the number 1 seed and win the division, or they may get a wild card spot. Hopefully, it is them clinching the division and maybe even the 1 seed, because the Ravens could use a first round bye. Now, I am a little scared about that first round bye because with the way the season has gone, it's been the year of the upset. And I've been one to say that the 2 teams that get the number 1 seeds in their conferences will go one and done. So if the Ravens get the number 1 seed, I'll be very concerned about that divisional round matchup. Not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, you can't focus on the future. You gotta focus on the present. And right now, the Ravens are number 1 in the AFC. They're number 1 in the AFC North. They control their own destiny. If they win the rest of these games, they're gonna win the AFC. Simple as that. They win the rest of these games, they're gonna win their division, and they're gonna win the number 1 spot in the AFC. At that point, it's fighting to see if they can go on a run and get to the Super Bowl, which we'll see how that goes. But you gotta give them credit, man. You gotta give them credit. It's something that people have forgotten, and I see it in the media as well. It's like people have forgotten this team is missing so many of their starters. This team is injury riddled. This team is one of the most injured teams in the league. And you see it sometimes, the way they be talking about the Ravens, it's like they completely forgot this team is suffering from serious injuries. They're one of the most injured team, if not the most injured team in the NFL. And, the media kind of forgets about that. Which at the end of the day, of course, they're going to forget about that. They only focus on people that are on the field. They don't care about the injuries. If you're on the field, they focus on who's there and they focus on the team. Especially when you have a superstar quarterback, that's just how it is. They don't care about the injuries. Get the job done. But yeah, Ravens, 8-3. 8-3. Where do we go from here? Well, we go to Heinz Field next week to take on another divisional rival in the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's a game you definitely want to win, because Cincinnati is not looking to back off anytime soon. Now, they got an interesting game coming up on Sunday for them. They got to take on the Chargers, and the Chargers are a tough team. They're a tough team, but you can't necessarily gauge them. I don't know which Chargers team I'm going to see. Will we get that Chargers team that just puts up that high-scoring game that managed to beat both the Browns and the Steelers? Or are you going to get that Chargers team that lost last week and also got embarrassed by the Ravens? You don't know what Chargers team you're going to get. That could be a shootout. That could be a blowout. That could be a tight game that comes down to the wire. I don't know what's going to happen, but that is a tough game for Cincinnati. They're going to have to play great and hopefully get that win because they want to continue to keep up. Baltimore's got to be on their toes. The good news is, if Baltimore can win these next 2 games, they will have a 3-1 record in the division, which will match up with the Cincinnati Bengals. So if they can pull out these next 2 wins, they'll be in a pretty good spot. Because right now, Cincinnati kind of controls how the division is going to go, because they got to deal with the most divisional rivals early on in their season, and they dominate. They swept the Steelers. They've beaten the Ravens. They've only lost to Cleveland. So they're 3-1 right now because of that Cleveland loss, and they have control. If Baltimore screws up once within these next 2 games, Cincinnati can just take over. So Baltimore's got to be on their toes. Pittsburgh's not going to be an easy game. There has been an update, though, about one of the players for the Steelers. TJ Watt's most likely not going to play for that game. He's been put on the reserve list, so he's most likely going to miss that game. That's unfortunate for the Ravens. That's unfortunately for the Steelers. That is unfortunate for them, because you're losing your best defensive player in a crucial divisional matchup. You know this guy can get to Lamar, so losing him is definitely going to hurt. Not to mention, the Steelers can't afford to keep losing players on that defense. I've already spoken on this. That defense has to carry them. If that defense can't carry them, they have no shot in making the playoffs. It's as simple as that. So this game was crucial. It was important for both Cleveland and Baltimore. Baltimore got the win. Cleveland knows they're in trouble. Now next week, this game is crucial for both Baltimore and Pittsburgh, because Baltimore knows they have to continue to play this way with Cincinnati on their trail. And Pittsburgh knows they have to win this game, get to make sure they don't fall out of this division. Even though Cleveland's right there, their playoff hopes can slowly fall away if they're not able to get it done. Cleveland may be at the bottom right now, but Pittsburgh and Cleveland still have a chance to not only win this division, but also make a playoff spot. So they got to keep fighting. So yeah, next 2 games are going to be tough for Baltimore, and the rest of the season is going to be tough for Baltimore. So we'll see what they're made of. And of course, there's some issues, but right now, we're not going to deal with them. I'll be sure to talk about it later on this week. But since it's Victory Monday, let's just enjoy this win. Let's enjoy the fact that the Ravens are 8-3. They're first in the AFC North and the number 1 seed in the AFC. Let's just enjoy that. And then later on down the week, we'll talk about some of the issues and things that got to improve and change. So it's Victory Monday. Let's sit back, let's enjoy this win, and let's just have fun with it. That's just really how it is. But yeah, Ravens, despite all that's happening, their chances to make the playoffs is very high. Their chances to make the playoffs is very high, and they just got to keep it up. They got to keep it up, and Hopefully, they'll be able to get a win next week against the Steelers, because if they can stack a win here and beat Cleveland the following week, they'll be in a great position to make the playoffs. You win these next 2 games, you're 10-3 on the season, you most likely could end up winning the division. The division's still probably going to come down to the wire between you and Cincinnati, especially if Pittsburgh and Cleveland lose their games against you. So, yeah, it's going to be close, but Baltimore will damn near guarantee a playoff spot if they can win these next 2 games. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, with that being said, that is all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace!